going to do that. So, very good afternoon. My name is Kim. I'm the Outreach and Communications Coordinator here at UCL Biochemical Engineering. This session is being recorded. I know of at least a couple of people who had questions, but may not be able to make it. So I've got one person's question in advance, so I'll ask that on their behalf. But there will be a recording afterwards. So if you want to watch this back, you'll get the link to that afterwards. And if you wanted to watch this back as well to review any of it, you can do. So, um, I hope you're having a great week so far. Now that winter is upon us, it's getting very dark early in the day here in the UK. And I'm joined by Dr. Darren Nesbeth, who will be talking about the Synthetic Biology MRes program. So the way this is going to work is when I start talking and hand over to Darren, he'll give you an introduction to the program. If you have any technical problems, then you can let us know in the chat. In fact, let me go to the chat and I will check this. So if you can hear me okay, can you just say hello in the chat, say hi, just pop something, just so I know that we're getting through loud and clear. Great. Always good to know everything's working okay. So you've got a chat function there. If you get any kind of problems, can't see the slides, can't hear the audio, let us know in the chat straight away. If you need clarification, again, pop that in the chat. Myself and Darren will see that straight away. If you're on a mobile device, you may not have seen all the buttons that you've got, but you've at the bottom of your screen or at the side, depends on the device, you can configure it. So you can choose to have Darren and me next to each other or overhead, or you can see the chat or the Q&A, or you've got all sorts of functionality there. So set it up how it works best for you. Um, if like and we've got the chat function if you need to let me and Darren know about any problems. You can ask a question at any point during the session, but we're quite likely to keep them until the Q&A at the end, because Darren may actually end up answering it later in his presentation, or we might find that a couple of people ask similar questions. So we'll wait until we get to the end, and then we'll go through your questions. Um, so with that, I think that's everything I've got to say, and I'm going to hand over to Darren and let him talk about the program. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. So I'm just going to try and get my slides up. Um, but how I think we can do it is one way we can do it, I think just while I double check all my slides are correct, is I can take any questions that people may immediately have straight off the top. I think just if there's any burning questions that are out there right now that people wanted to get off their chest, happy to take any of those. If not, I am ready. I'm just figuring out how to do my right. Let's get rid of
Well,
that.
actually, whilst Darren's doing that, I'm going
Yeah.
to shamelessly plug that we've got some really good events coming up next year. This is the 200th, well, next year is going to be the 200th year anniversary of UCL. And it's quite exciting. We've been going for 200 years, 2 centuries, which is an incredible achievement. And we're going to be doing some taster lectures on some of the things that are really central to us here in biochemical engineering. There's going to be covering things like vaccine manufacture, lab-grown foods, and I'll send a link to that later on. But we're also doing one on stem cell and gene therapies. Some of these are things that we've been working on for decades, and some of them very new sectors. So we're looking backwards to our history, and we're also looking forward to our future and sort of marking where we are. But I'll put a link to that in the chat. Please do sign up to it. It'd be great if you could join us. It's a chance to find out more of the things that we do in the department, hear from some of our researchers and our academics. It's a really good way to get inroad into what we're doing. And I was just talking to one of the researchers who's going to be doing something more synthetic biology related. She's going to be doing, do you know Joan, Darren? Joan's going to be doing something on cell-free synthesis. So
Great.
a really, really exciting area and offers some incredible opportunities, specifically on vaccine manufacturing, which is something we're very renowned for, but it goes way beyond that. So I'll pop a link to that. Please
Yeah.
come along. Be great to see you for that. But Darren, if you're ready, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I've got some slides, so I'm just going to share I think you'll get a request, I think, Kim, and so I'll try and share again, and that's my whole desktop, I think everyone can see.
Yep, that's right.
And can you
Good.
now see the full slide?
Yes, absolutely fine. And
Excellent.
great stuff. It's even got
Fantastic.
today's date on it, so that's really cool.
Yeah, okay. So, so we've got our this little introductory taster opportunity for me to give you an overview of the program and answer the many questions I'm sure you have live. So really, please do ask questions because that's the thing that can only happen really in this kind of session in a way, or happens best in this kind of session. A lot of the information may perhaps you can get other ways, but having a chance to speak to myself, the program director, live, this is a great opportunity for that. Whoa. Okay, so this is UCL. Today, it's a global university with many large faculties, a big faculty structure. It's world leading. I think it's one of the top educational establishments globally, along with the Ivy League in the US, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, UCL in the UK, and institutions like ETH Zurich on the continent, and many more besides. But it's an elite university, an elite research university, so a great place to do a master's degree in research. So literally, that's the cultural focus of the university. We are a university, so we fully integrate research with teaching, and we see teaching as feeding into research and vice versa. So that um, teaching research and research skills and all the science and content of our programs helps us become better researchers. So it's a great opportunity for MRes students to soak up not only the technical knowledge, but the culture of how to be an effective researcher and have a productive and impactful research career. Unlike many other institutions, at UCL, the synthetic biology sits within the engineering sciences faculty. It doesn't sit in life sciences. And I think that's a critical kind of a unique element of how UCL is really true to the core concept of synthetic biology, which is a unique combination of biology and engineering. And engineering by definition has to be something that goes out into the world and impacts the real world today and impacts companies today. So the departments within engineering faculties typically by definition are far more plugged in to industrial activity, commercial activity, companies, and the outside world than perhaps departments to do more fundamental, basic research. So, synthetic biology at UCL sits in the engineering sciences faculty. Okay, so these are some of the departments in our faculty. So, biochemical engineering actually was its origin story is a breakaway from chemical engineering back in the late 90s. Um, for obvious reasons, to an extent, the sophistication, the complexity of biological materials can be really specialist compared to general chemical processing. So, which can range from stem cells and T cells right through to enzymic processing of large industrial bulk material like agricultural material. So, quite a range of sophisticated materials there. The MRes and our department, if I just flick back, we actually stretch across, let me see, one, two, three, four, at least five of those faculties. We've got links with synthetic biologists in those faculties that offer projects on the MRes, and multiple of these departments within the Faculty of Engineering. So, although biochemical engineering is the home of synthetic biology at UCL, you can think of it as like, let's say, a spider web of influence. So the synthetic biology activity at UCL spreads across the whole university. And that includes policy and ethical considerations and legal considerations. But the heart of it, the hub of the wheel is Biochem Eng. But just to reassure you, there are um, let's say evolutionary origin of life type genetic projects. There are all the way through to neuroscience projects and clinically focused projects and chemically focused projects. So um, there are we have I, I would say there's 50 plus synthetic biologists, PIs at UCL. That's smaller than the total engineers and smaller than the total biologists, but it's a big list of synthetic biologists, and they're all very eager to offer projects on the MRes program. Okay, so this is just a whoops industry connections. These are just some of the larger, more global companies that the faculty is connected with. Within Biochem Eng, you've got connections with all the large pharmaceutical companies you've heard of, and probably all the medium biopharmaceutical companies and biotech companies you've heard of, and probably a good amount of the coolest small ones as well, startups. We have a regular pipeline of startups that come from the students and the postdoctoral researchers and fellows and staff of our department as well. So that connection, it's inherent to engineering, so deeply connected with industry and with companies. So I at the moment I've got there's a company that makes equipment to scale up synthetic biology called Sartorius. I have a doctoral student sponsored by Sartorius, doctoral student sponsored by Oxford Biomedica, or OXB as they're called, doctoral student sponsored by Cytiva, and that's just myself. All my colleagues all have further and further industrially sponsored research. So the connections are second to none. My colleague Kim runs our LinkedIn group for biochemical engineering, and literally as a member of that group, you are one step away from literally the majority of biotechnologists on planet Earth. And I came to this department from molecular bioscience, and I was shocked the amount of alumni from the department that you would meet at industry meetings and regulator meetings is literally, it's almost impossible to kind of escape from the department to an extent, because all those external connections feature alumni from this department. So I think it's a peerless opportunity in terms of networking, getting your MRes at UCL Biochem Eng. Again, we have a very deep and effective career support infrastructure at UCL that all students can make full use of in terms of reviewing CVs, cover letters, and so on. And that's above and beyond the industry connections I spoke about before. I've worked outside of academia for 2 years in the financial sector, and that's been very beneficial to my career as a researcher. But also, and I'm not unique in the department in that manner. So we've got a very good understanding in our department, not only of how an MRes can help you in a research-based industrial career and a research-based academic career, but also a career that's not in research. So literally 99% of research skills are transferable to other settings and other industries. So we won't blink. If you tell us, actually, now I want to become an investment banker, or now I want to become a North Sea fisherman, we won't blink, and we'll advise you as to how the research skills and the managerial kind of skills you've learned from this course will apply to whatever industry you move into. Okay, so this is for our faculty, for the departments in our faculty, some of the broader innovations that regularly come out of the engineering faculty. Let's say we have if anyone has heard of CAR T therapy or engineered CAR T therapy and gene therapy, the process whereby those amazing therapies go from helping one patient. I think there was some news earlier this week of a little boy getting a gene therapy. That process of it being on the 10 o'clock news and one patient getting a therapy, the process whereby you go from that to thousands or hundreds of thousands of patients having access to therapy is in essence synthetic biology, scaled up engineering biology, biochemical engineering. It's the stuff that the engineering departments do. And biochemical engineering is part of that. So that ability to impact the real world is a big part of the culture here, and that comes through in the MRes. So you can see there are a list of ways in which our departments in the faculty impact the real world. I haven't even mentioned the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which UCL Biochemical Engineering had a big role in the scale up for that. And this is just the engineering faculty. As I say, there are other departments within other faculties where we offer projects that also have highly impactful research as well. I've also collaborated with UCL Security and Crime Science to review the potential crime opportunities that could come up in synthetic biology in the next 10, 20 years to help address those and see them off. So, so again, we're linked with the full range of possibilities of synthetic biology, and of course with AI transforming everything, including synthetic biology. All of this holistic way of looking at the discipline and being at that cutting edge going forward is what we're all about at UCL. So Demis Hassibis, the DeepMind founder, was a postdoc at UCL when he started that startup, and so we continue to be there at the heart, at the genesis of many of these world-changing innovations. Okay, so this is just part of let's say the history or the legacy of synthetic biology here at UCL. So I'm sure you've all heard of the central dogma of molecular biology: DNA makes RNA makes protein. So the first time that dogma was spoken to other people at a lecture theatre was in the anatomy lecture theatre at UCL back in 1957. Just think how many times that's been taught since then. So, and we actually currently I give lectures in that theatre on BN0040 industrial synthetic biology. So we continue in that tradition. And of course, Francis Crick was an undergraduate at UCL before going on to contribute to that DNA work. So the penicillin, you've all heard of the discovery of penicillin, but maybe less so of, in a similar way to gene therapy, maybe less so the people that did the engineering innovation and technology development to make sure penicillin could be produced at scale to actually have its be used as a preventative medicine or a treatment for thousands or millions of people. So that transfer and the further engineering and innovation needed to go from an initial proof of concept through to an actual world impacting technology, that started with the founders of UCL Biochem Edge, Malcolm Lee, Peter Dunnell, and others. Going forward, I'm sure you've all heard of the International Genetically Engineered Machines Summer Research Competition. 2025 now takes place in Paris, was the most recent version. So UCL has participated in that since 2009. And we've got a tradition of supporting students in the iGEM competition, and we've always been student-led. So the good news about being student-led is students have autonomy. The bad news about being student-led is it's research, so good things or bad things may happen. But that exposure to that risk is part of how you develop as a researcher. Okay, so this program has actually been running since the 2010-2011 academic year. It was run by wonderful colleague, Professor John Ward, and I was a postdoctoral researcher in the department when this program, when John was actually filling out the bid application to the BBSRC to fund the initial version of the program. So since the program's genesis, I've been involved, and I'm now most recently taken over from John as the director. So, and one thing that the program always does is capture feedback from the students to improve year on year. So we thrive on that feedback, and there's been lots and lots happened in synthetic biology the last 15 years, and look forward to it continuing as well. The other thing to be aware of in that is, because this is a mature program, we're not making it up as we go along or trialing things. The program that you would receive in 26, 27 is highly refined from all these 15 years of feedback and development of the program. And that will continue into the future. Yeah, so that's just a summary there of myself taking over. So these are some of the my colleagues who teach, who lead on some of the teaching for the program. Some of those course codes have now changed, but those main areas of um, of research focus are covered by those colleagues of mine. I'm not sure that that QR code is still live, but we'll get all the links you need. We'll get to you in follow up to this meeting. So apologies, these, because the program has had a recent new version. This slides are not the prettiest, but I'll just zoom through to the, and it's not the best organized. So at its core, you have 4 taught modules. I'll just say the last 2 digits. So 44, 97, 40, well, and 103. So, and they're in term 1 and term 2. And in essence, the program's designed so that those taught elements kind of taper off through term 2. And the research project starts in term 1 with you receiving a list of projects and being encouraged to go and meet all the academics associated with those list of projects. And then that gradually ramps up and dominates. So by the end of term 2, you are very much full time on the research project. Okay, so you can see there 2/3 of the credit for this master's program are the research project. The research project is the predominant element of this program. That's relatively rare in terms of MSc programs, or possibly even MRes programs you may be looking at elsewhere. That 2/3 weighting is quite a strong weighting to the research project. Okay, and there's a lot about research. Typically, students learn more than they thought they would learn in areas that they didn't think they would develop as they become the researchers that they end up being in September the following year. So research is more than mastering bench techniques and asking the most interesting questions. As part of this MRes, you'll get to refine your research and hone it so that you have a better and more professional sense of how to propose research questions and provide deliverable outputs from research in a way that would give you a sustainable and effective and impactful career. So certainly all students are changed from when they come into this program to when they leave. I would call it battle hardened myself, but I don't want to put anyone off, if you see what I mean. But you certainly are far more effective researchers at the end of an MRes. Okay, I can revisit any of those slides to go deeper into anything that I may have skipped over a bit, and also happy to answer any questions that anyone's got. I'll stop sharing, but I'll come back to sharing once I've seen some of the questions.
Cool. Thank you. Um, That's
Oops.
great.
Okay.
Um, just to remind you, we've got a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, which you can use to post your questions for Darren. You can post them anonymously if you want to. That's an option that's open to you. But we have had a question that somebody sent in before earlier on, um, and they asked. Um, so they're asking about the process of selecting a research project. And let me it's just difficult to scroll down on here. So, so they're asked whether students are able
Hmm.
to choose from a predetermined set of projects or they're randomly allocated to a lab according to research interests. Do you have the opportunity to design a research project proposal with the lab with a group of students' choice, or is it allocated? Basically, and this has come up in other sessions about how the
Yeah.
projects are allocated and what and how it would work.
Thanks, Kim. So, just wanted to just be sure that everyone's had an opportunity to have a look at that question because it's an excellent question and it's a question we often get on the program. So the answers, and I suppose to, the answer in a way is yes to everything and also no to everything. So let me get to because it's more subtle um, than may immediately seem to be the case. So on the surface of it, so there is, let's say, there is a hard rule, let's say, so that there is a list of projects and the students they're not they will nominate their top three choice, their number one, number two, and number three choice. But that's not simply a case of receiving a document and sending an email. Because this is the world of MRes now. This is master's level, and not only that is it master's level, it's an MRes degree. So we are training you to be researchers. So a researcher would never just send an email and wait for an email. So as a researcher, not only are you encouraged to give that list of three projects, but you are encouraged in term one, once you receive the list, to schedule meetings with the academics. And ideally, you would schedule a meeting with more than three, five, or even six of those academics. The meetings could be 20 to 30 minutes, or they could last longer. And in those meetings, you will meet an academic or a researcher, let's call them, in their office and discuss the project and your background and your motivation and your interest in the project. Now, we understand that could be intimidating, could be scary. We're happy to kind of I'm sure that all the academics will be friendly and professional. We're happy to also prepare you if anyone has got any trepidation about that. But also, by the time you've had your third, fourth, or fifth meeting, I'm pretty confident that you'll feel more comfortable with these kind of conversations and that your skills are developing compared to when you had that first meeting. So it's not a list email administrative exercise. It's actually a real world engagement exercise, that interaction with the academics that offer these projects. Okay. From this interface, from these meetings, you will feed back to us with your top three and some further writing you're encouraged to do. The academics will feed back to us. So when I say us, it's Mike, Thomas, myself, and maybe further academics on the MRes team. And what we will endeavor to do is provide you with a project that gives you the best opportunity to develop and evidence research skills. We do not promise to give you a project that is the project, let's say, that you're most interested in. It's highly likely you will get the project you're most interested in, but that's not our priority. Our priority is to give you a project that gives you the best opportunity to develop research skills, because you will only go on to a further research career investigating whatever you're most passionate about: CRISPR, T cells, engineering, neurological interfaces. You will only be in a position to go on to that career if you have developed skills from your MRes. So we actually prioritize and privilege your research career as a whole, as opposed to simply trying to give you the project that's most interesting to you in September 2026. So yeah, so there is a the list is also long. It's long and it's cutting edge. It's not a dusty old list that we've been doing since 2013. It's a living list and it is reborn every October of every year, October, November, with fresh projects. Some academics move out of the area, some move in, new academics are appointed, others retire, research focuses change. So it's a living, ongoing, continually updated list. The list is only provided to MRes students who have enrolled and are attending the MRes program. It's never provided externally to people considering possibly being a student. Um, the question here is, can it be based on the student's research interests? We absolutely invite students, if you've got a passion project and you think it's an awesome project, perhaps you're even worried that someone may steal it and go off and become famous based on your project. We would even sign a confidentiality agreement if that was what you wished, and we will appraise your project and discuss that project with you. However, in terms of the MRes, and again, guaranteeing those research skills and um, skills you can evidence, we would only offer projects from the list. However, you are completely free to discuss your ideas for a project, elements of research and investigation that you're passionate about with potential project supervisors, either at those earlier meetings I spoke about or while you're on the project. And through that dialogue, you will receive greater scrutiny and opportunities to refine your project ideas and the possibility of possibly implementing some of those ideas. But the bottom line, so there's actually a lot of value add, and we do want you to share those ideas and develop those ideas because we're better to test your research ideas than at a university like UCL, chock full of professional researchers. But at the other end, we provide no guarantee. There is no formal, legal, or guaranteed element whereby we will support a student defined project. That's not an element. That's not a formal structured element of the MRes program. Just to be clear there. So hopefully you can see that yes, we absolutely celebrate students that come to us with passionate projects of their own, and we fully engage with those project ideas. But no, we don't guarantee that we will provide support for them to pursue that as their MRes project. Okay.
So
I
just
hope
goes.
that's answered your question, but please let me know if it hasn't and I've been waffling for too long.
It's fine. Just to jump in, go. I've seen some questions come through. It's great. Got quite a few now that Darren's going to have
Okay,
a quick look at. But
I better speed up.
but we've yeah, I mean we've booked for until 5:30 for this, so we're here until the end, available to answer your questions till then. So just keep them coming, and we'll keep answering them as long as they're coming in, and until 5:30. So
Hmm.
Darren, over to you.
Yeah, so Tabitha has asked, can you self-arrange projects or is it just from the project bank? The answer is, in a way, yes to both. So if you've got a project, if you let's say if you've got your own project idea and you are committed to enrolling on the program, share the idea with us as soon as you can, and we will discuss that idea with you. And there is a possibility that it could be integrated into a project with the right academic or so on and so forth. But zero guarantee, I'm afraid. I'm not going to mislead you on that. But that's not the same as saying we don't celebrate the fact you've got a project that that you come to us with. If it's the case that there's an academic at UCL who you've always been a fan of, and you'd want to reach out to them and discuss the possibility of them offering an MRes project, absolutely email them, email any academic at UCL and start that dialogue with them, ready for September 2026. Again, I can't guarantee that that academic will end up offering a project, but it's not something that's structurally ruled out. It's happened in the past. So we've had someone that want to do the MRes, they've contacted an academic sometime prior to the start of their academic year. And in that time, they've reached out to the MRes team and we've agreed a project structure and that student, and it's been offered to that student. And as part of the allocation process, luckily they have been assigned that project. But there are no structural guarantees at any step along that process. It's scholarships available for international students. Open to, I, um, so whatever answer I gave to that right now would probably be out of date soon. But I would say there there probably are, but we'll follow up with that. And again, whatever we follow up with in November 2025 could change between now and September 2026 in terms of scholarships for international students. Um, Course open to both science and medical courses. I'm not totally sure what comfort means by that, but it could be that I'm guessing perhaps you're thinking about the background. So it's a conversion MRes to an extent. So it's not an MRes that's just designed for someone that did a BSc in biochemistry or a BSc in synthetic biology. It's designed for people who, even if, let's say, they came from a non-bioscience or a non-bioengineering educational background, but they'd worked in a relevant field. But in terms of educational background, we'll be looking for a sufficient amount of biology, but it doesn't have to be. But the degree title is not rigid. So in essence, we would take it on a case by case basis. So if you're not sure, apply. That would be the thing, because we will be looking sympathetically at the backgrounds of all applicants. So how many of the MRes SynBio proceed to do a PhD? Well, in biochemical engineering, it would be typically, let's say, 1 to 3, but that's just biochemical engineering. There's a whole world beyond UCL Biochemical Engineering. So I think, as far as I'm aware, literally, it's 90% of the MRes SynBio graduates who wish to do a doctoral research studentship do a doctoral research studentship. So the numbers may change, but for those for whom it's a passion and they wish to do a doctorate, generally they will successfully get on a doctoral program. So do the anonymous attendee, do the modules in term one involve lab work or prep for research project? So there is a lot. So research is more than bench. Research is more than lab work. I don't mean that in a kind of I don't mean that in a boring way. It's not that research is lab work plus administration or research is lab work plus bureaucracy. Research is lab work plus strategy, uh, discipline, science communication, data analysis. So and all of these mixed together in a kind of magical mix of interdisciplinary skills. So I would say everything in term one prepares you for research. All the talk courses prepare you for research. We take a line through the biological content to provide only the biological content that is most relevant for synthetic biology research. And the rest of the talk content is research skills, research strategy, and in terms of some bioinformatics, workshopping, and other elements of research. So there is no lab work, but it's very much not just a continuation of, let's say, an undergraduate type talk course lecture structure with lots and lots of content. It's very much content, workshop, proactive, lots of formative activity to help sharpen your research skills that aren't just bench. Again, one of the things you'll learn from an MRes is that ability to master bench procedures is less than half of the skills, and certainly the kind of the skills for success in research. Don't worry though, you will be doing long hours in the laboratory. You'll have all the laboratory hours you could ever want, but realizing that just mastering a Western blot or mastering a CRISPR edit procedure is the good news. you could say the good news is that's not all the story, and also you could say the bad news, not all the story. But certainly you'll realize that the context in which the bench is in research. What are the main career prospects? Who or someone will attain an MRes? Well, it's literally wide open. Um, research is seen outside of academia as let's say, a more independent and self-starting and practical and pragmatic activity than merely passing exams. So it's got a high level of transferability. If you emphasize to people that you had a set of objectives and you made a contribution to addressing those objectives in a way that was specific to you, which is what research is, and that you had some deliverables, you made a contribution, that will impact literally any career you would choose. I would say that you could think of it as, let's say, 40% of people go to academia, 40% bioindustry, and 20% other. And even those other things people have done, they've been given a boost by doing well at their MRes. Okay, what biology a program seen interdisciplinary? So I hope that's answered all the questions, your question, Tomas. So Anya, excellent question, looks like here. What value does this program see in interdisciplinary student backgrounds? Bioethics, public engagement, creative? Absolutely, yes. So although so I would say, as someone who's collaborated with many bio artists down the years, and also collaborated with people in the fashion industry, to all in the context of synthetic biology, I can say it's very much important for the MRes to teach you core skills, but also be outward looking, so that it would empower you for interdisciplinary projects going forward. But I think for the MRes, it's important that we give you, let's say, the core synthetic biology skills. But in terms of sympathy to that, so absolutely. So we have the UCL's has the kind of world leading Department of Science and Technology Studies, which is also in the engineering faculty, with lots of people, ethicists and people who study science from the outside as a discipline itself. There's one of our colleagues is Jack Stilgo, who's always annoying Elon Musk with his coverage of autonomous self-driving cars and so on and so forth. And there's many you can find. I'm sure you will find many examples. There's Anna Dimitroiou, who's a bioartist in the UK who we've collaborated with in the past. There's a company called Faber Futures. I won't try and use the type, but Faber Futures, the genesis of that actually came from a collaboration with John Ward and synthetic biology in our department. So I would say interdisciplinarity and connection with ethics, the public, arts and humanities we're very, very open and keyed into that. There are elements of ethics on the course, on my course BN0040. There is an ethics workshop that the students do every year. So yeah, fully students must fully take into account that. So we have we expect everyone to take a holistic view of synthetic biology on this program. But again, we are giving people those core skills as priority. Okay, and in terms of student background, absolutely. If you're not just I think if you've attended this webinar, please, and you are considering applying for the MRes, please do apply, and we look at the background of our applicants, and we look at their personal statement very holistically. We're not thinking we're only getting people that have come from year 3 of a BSc in that they're currently doing. All right, a selection of admission based solely where BSc was obtained, or do other factors such as yeah. So absolutely, it's not. I'm absolutely motivational letter, references, life experience, things you've worked in. More often than not, students leave out things. So as I coach students our students for their CV and covering letter, more often than not, they think that the scientific community are uninterested in anything that's not science. Whereas the truth is, just about everything you've done, there's a good chance that we're interested in it to know. So we got anonymous attendee. Do we need to know how to code? No, but if you are someone who loves computational biology and coding, uh, there will be projects that can be purely computational. We do introduce Python for synthetic biology, but very gently. So we've got flexibility on the program. So if you're 100% AI coding computational biology person, we'll give you everything you can handle. If you're coding phobic, we'll just gently introduce you to a bit of Python and then concentrate on the web biology for you.
So
Will
just
there
going to
be another
jump.
webinar on the PhD?
Sorry, just want to jump in quickly on that one. This is the PGT series, so we're not doing that then. In terms of PhDs, it's a bit more difficult because it's so specific to the academic that you're with and the subject you're doing, and they also come up throughout the year, so it's slightly different. But I'll talk to Leo about doing that. So just to let you know, somebody's asked about a panel discussion on AI, using AI in pharmaceutical development. That I think you might have found that event on Eventbrite. It's actually it's in person. It's specific. I mean, it's for our students. We did it internally. It was actually organised by our undergraduate events committee. They actually reached out to the panelists themselves. So that's taking place this afternoon here, but it's kind of organised by our own students for internal consumption mainly. Although you could probably come to it if you, but it's taking place in literally an hour in person, so it's not a webinar at all. The webinar ones that are taking place, there are four so far, and another one in cell-free synthesis. If you look at that page in about a week's time, you should the cell-free synthesis one should be up and available. Darren, I think there's still a few more questions coming
Yeah.
through, some really good ones.
So we've got comfort question. I think Kim just answered the PhDs are very much project specific to a degree. PhD students actually can't take courses on the MRes currently, and often they'll be very busy. Research intensive universities often try and get the students in the lab generating data as quickly as possible. There was, I mean, in the past, it may have been possible for a certain flavor of PhD, but that's not the case going forward. Is there much green sustainable chemistry? Certainly, there are projects in the chemistry department that will have that green element, and there are. It is covered. Sustainability is key, and there's plenty of content. There isn't, let's say, a badge module, but there will be some content on sustainability and green environmental in ways in which synthetic biology can help address global warming and other environmental issues, and sustainability are covered in my module BN0040 Industrial Synthetic Biology, and also the Advanced Synthetic Biology run by Leonardo Rios. So there are, Ola has asked, are there syllabi of the subjects available? And how much is engineering compared to molecular biology? So first of all, the module, so those, if my, there are online resources, including a module catalog, which you can look at to get more information on the content of those modules. In terms of the engineering available, I would say that the engineering is more, let's say, qualitative. So there isn't a heat and mass balance module that's very much full of quantitative equations and that element of engineering. But the engineering philosophy runs through, in as much as we take a line through the molecular biology to give you only that which is most relevant to real world engineering solutions and synthetic biology. So it's not the if this was an MRes in molecular biology, it would have to go far broader it's an MRes in synthetic biology, so we can make sure that we give you that the prioritize and privilege just that molecular biology that's relevant to SynBio. And again, inevitably you have that engineering, design, build, test, learn ethos in there. So the engineering you could say would come in some of the Python coding, some of the computational modeling content of the course, but it's basically provided to you in a qualitative context. And depending on your background, you can engage with the staff to go deeper and to get more challenging engineering content or be pointed to more challenging engineering content. And also in terms of the project list. So if if you're worried about the amount of engineering, I would say not to, because it's provided in a gentle qualitative manner. If you're keen and hungry for as much engineering content as possible, I'm confident we can also satisfy that need, even though it's not like not so formalized in terms of the assessments and so on. Okay, so I've moved out all the so yes, yeah. So I, I'm just trying to think if I can think of any other things people have asked down the years, on top of the Q&As we've had, and possibly from the chat. So one thing I would say is again, it's a great opportunity for those of you who are considering coming to London, who haven't done their first degree in London. The amount of bioscience and the bioscience community in London is second to none, I would say, in Europe. So there's a huge opportunity for networking and so on, interfacing. But that's just outside of UCL, and then within UCL, it's one of the largest centres for cell and gene therapy in Europe. And again, you can, as a UCL student, you can plug in to those communities, attend their talks, and many, many more communities also that we have on hand. The there are two sister programs, the students of which you'll have opportunities to network with, which is our MSc Biochemical Engineering and our MSc Cell and Gene Therapy. And we have a big Masters Day in September 2027. It will be where everyone gets to give posters, present, and engage with a set of industrial visitors for that kind of large kind of send-off day.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
going to jump in quickly because there's another question that's come
yeah.
in, really good one. But just to let you know, if anything occurs to you after this session, you think of something you wish you'd asked, or there's a question, if you email the biochem@ucl.ac.uk, that's our inquiries email. Those will get picked up and forwarded on to Darren, myself, or somebody else, but we will see that. I'm also going to put my email address in the chat. So if you want to make a note of that, if there's anything that occurs to you, have any kind of issues or questions as you progress through the next few months and the application process, we're more than happy to help you out and deal with any questions you've got. So I mean, we've got a couple more minutes to go, so we'll answer any as many questions as
Yeah.
we can. But I'll pop my email address in the chat for you now for your information.
So thanks. Ola has asked, do students need to choose additional subjects? So the answer to that is definitely not. So we have, like I said, we have our four taught modules and then the huge 120 credit research project. Um, I would, so there's an agony of choice at UCL. If you dig around all the modules available at UCL, you will find a world of fascinating topics and subjects, and you'll start to think, oh, I'd love to do that, I'd love to do that, I'd love to do that, and it won't end. You'll find about 20 modules that just look fascinating. So I wouldn't torture yourself by looking at all those modules, but instead I would encourage you to kind of dive as much into the four taught modules as you can, but also fully engage with the opportunity to engage with researchers. You can, for 12 months, you'll have a cast iron reason to literally speak to any academic at UCL and arguably in London or possibly even in the UK, because you can start your email with, "Hi, I'm an MRes student. I'm doing the MRes Synthetic Biology at UCL. I'd love to talk to you for 20 minutes about that excellent Nature paper I saw from your lab last week." And this will be a great in to have those meetings with those people. And again, the many different SynBio adjacent communities at UCL and beyond in London, I would encourage you to use your time to fully network. And again, that's part of research beyond just learning how to do Western blots and to do Gibson assembly. Part of research is establishing those links, attending those networking events, having those interesting conversations with other researchers, balancing that. So balancing those stimulating interactions with your ability to deliver and deliver on time, an essay or a presentation. So that's all part of a research life that we hope we craft the MRes to give you that a sample of. Okay. Yep. So please do reach out to Kim, reach out to myself. Any questions, please do apply. Don't give yourself reasons not to apply. Apply and then find out what we have to say, because that's the best and most guaranteed way to apply to the program. And please tell anyone else who you think is wavering because they think perhaps their degree isn't relevant enough or their degree was so long ago. Please do encourage them to apply as well. And if you are thinking maybe of another program and you're weighing it up, and you've got very specific questions, please do get in touch with us. We'll be happy to answer. Another thing Kim and I will do, which we haven't been able to do today, is we'll connect you to current and past MRes students, as best we can, and so you can get it from the horse's mouth, get an insight into their MRes. And I'm sure there's probably names out there in the SynBio community that if you look at their LinkedIn profile, you'll see their MRes, UCL MRes alumni as well. I don't doubt that. Okay.
Great. Well, I think that
Yeah.
brings us pretty much to bang on time. Excellent. You could do weather reporting, Darren. You know, absolutely bang on the second. So thank
Well,
you
I'll do
very much
something
to
about it.
thank you very much to everyone who joined us today, and thank you for your questions. It was really great to read those. Really enjoyed answering them. Like I said, if you have any further issues, get in touch with us. You can get us through the website. Do have a look at the prospectus as well because it's got all the modules in there. Loads of really useful information. But we hope to see you in person at some point before too long at UCL. In the meantime, thank you very much, and yeah, have
Thank
a
you,
great
everyone.
week. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.